the planning board here with you all, and I'll begin with the roll call. Scott Shaw.
Recording in progress.
Me, Michael York.
Here.
Jane Johnson.
Here.
Michael Day. Not here. Brandon Sell.
Here.
Richard Lane.
Here.
Selectman represent Sly Karazinski.
Here.
Steve Malone, alternate. Brian Vertigill, alternate.
Here.
And Victoria Ames, alternate.
Here.
I will seek Victoria for Michael. Michael Day, that is. Okay, so the agenda this evening is under applications and public hearings. Planning board number 23-009. That's a multi-tenant application. Donna Arseneault requests to operate a gift shop in the existing multi-tenant commercial property owned by Richard Pratt, located at 919 West Swanzey Road. Subject property is shown at tax map 71, lot 11 in the business district. And under discussions and other business, we have SMC site plan modification, preliminary conceptual consultation, Greg Johnson about mixed restaurant property, and he has asked that to be moved to the March 23rd meeting, which we will do. Rules of procedure amendments, adoption hopefully, and site plan review regulations, and any other business as may be required. And first up would be reviewing and approving the minutes of February 23rd, 2023. Anybody have any changes or clarifications or alterations in the minutes? I have just one thing, and that would be on page 8, it looks like to be. And we're talking about, it's in the very top of page 8, we're just talking about the square foot of the load of the roof of the new addition to the recycling center. And I just want to clarify it. It says the chair said with 65 pounds per square foot of weight, there is a cubic foot of water, and that's a concern. What it means to say is that a cubic foot of water weighs about 65 pounds, and that would be just 1 cubic foot of water. And if you had more than 1 cubic foot of water, you would go above the. You don't have to put all that in, but it would go above the weight of that roof. But that's all it meant, was that 1 cubic foot of water weighed about 65 pounds. That's the only thing I had on the minutes. Anybody else?
Just one other question. I want to clarify. Going back on page 6, where Jane asked about the renting of campers, was that truly $100 a day or per week for that section?
I don't know. I would assume it was. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's per day or week. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm also not sure. I would be surprised if it's for the week because the town's providing a lifeguard and it's for the Beyond the Bell program that kind of takes out where the school system drops off for outside of school daycare.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure that that was proper.
Yes, we'll leave it in then at $100 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else? And a motion to approve the minutes of the February 23rd meeting as revised.
So moved.
Motion by Richard Lane to approve the minutes of the 23rd. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Brandon Self. Any further discussion? Then all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And that's out of the way. That brings us up to regional impact vote. Is there anything on tonight's agenda that requires a regional impact for us to notify surrounding towns? If not, motion in the negative would be in order.
So moved.
Motion by Victoria that nothing on tonight's agenda requires us to notify surrounding towns. Is there a second? Seconded by Richard Lane. Is there any further discussion? And all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So our first application up, public hearing, and that's a multi-tenant application. Donna Arseneault requests to operate a gift shop in the existing multi-tenant commercial property owned by Richard Pratt, located at 919 West Swanzey Road. So the property is shown at tax map 71, lot 11 in the business.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I will be recusing myself from this case simply because I received a call from the property owner when a discussion ensued that not the rest of the board being privy to it, so I will recuse myself on those grounds.
Okay, anybody have an objection to that? If not, then I will see Brian Vertigal or Michael York for this matter. And I will open up the public hearing. Are you Donna Arseneault?
Yeah.
So, anything to add to your, looks like a pretty straightforward application there.
It is, I currently have, I was here a little less than 2 years ago, and was approved for my home business. However, the traffic that goes by my house is like 50 versus, moving to this location, it's like 13,000 cars. That was a few years ago, but, you know, so there's more, so it's gonna give me better visibility.
Okay. And it looks like, see, being unit number 3,
Yeah.
be 6 days a week, 10 to 4. And 1 employee, that would be you.
Me,
Okay. Estimated customers 10 to 20 per day. Parking spaces planned, they have plenty of parking there.
Yep.
UPS and FedEx, 1 to 2 per month deliveries. Outside lighting is existing. No special licenses or permits required that I'm aware of.
no, I am currently approved by the town to have my business.
Yep.
I'm also in good standing with the state, and I am federally, I have my number, so I'm legal all the way out.
Okay, then you're in good standing with the board too, then I guess. So, anybody have any questions for the applicant on this matter? If not, any member of the public here for this other than you? If not, so I'm going to close the public hearing. And again, pretty straightforward. You know where it's going. I think everybody knows where it's going. We're 10 there. That long building down there. Okay. Nobody has any other questions or discussion about it? But we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion.
Just a second. Jane,
Well, I think we all would agree that those shops, we've already set up the rules for how things would be, business would be conducted there, so she knows that and they know that. I think it's okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve her application.
Motion by Brandon Self to approve the multi-tenant application. Is there a second?
I will.
Second by
Second
Jane
the
Johnson.
motion.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed? Okay, and that's done. And I will reseat Michael Miller and unseat Brian Burke.
So that means that I'm approved, correct? Can I also ask a couple questions now, because, I paid less than 2 years ago to have a business approved, and that was approved, and I paid the fees and everything that came with it. And I'm certainly not here to, you know, I appreciate all of you. However, I paid my fees again this time, but I received 2 certified letters. One of them came to my house, and one of them I had to pick up at the post office in Keene, because it was not available here in Swansea. And it was a second notice in regard to this. And I want to know, out of the 7 certified letters that I sent out, did I pay for myself to get 2? Because it seemed odd to me that I'm getting these certified letters when I already know that's what's happening. Secondly, I take a lot of pride in my business, and I felt like if 8 months ago, I walked into the town hall and I said, I'm entertaining purchasing Sally's clothes. And I was told, that's great, we're so proud of you for being, you know, doing what you're doing. And it's a 1-to-1 retail, there wouldn't be a board meeting. Why am I here today to move to that location? And so I feel like it's just, if I'm already approved and I'm established and I'm not a business that is new to the area, then why do I have to go through this process? Because who's to say that in 2 years I might want to grow even bigger? And I have to keep going and paying. So in 2 years, I paid over $200.
So,
In certified letters, my applicant, listen, I pay my application fee is $25, but I have to do the Teen Sentinel and certified letters. I get 2 certified letters, the Pratts get a certified letter, who signed the application, knowing that I was gonna move in. So it's just, you know, it kind of bothers me a little bit that this is what I've had to face, especially being a business, and I want you to know, I was recognized by a radio station in Keene for doing good in Swansea and beyond this past Christmas, because I do a huge Christmas event that's free, all philanthropy, for any town or anybody who wants to show up, whether they're at a different state or not. And I just felt like this was convoluted to have to come again.
Okay, so it's all about location. You're changing your location of your business, correct? It's the same business as you're
Correct.
stating, but you're changing location. So
Correct.
the reason that that has to be done all over again on the location is that it's a different location, different circumstances, different abutters, and again, it's all about giving abutters a chance to view what's going on the property abutting them. So that's the reason for reapplying, having another application, just because of the change in location. As far as the 2 certified letters, I don't know why you got 2. Do you have 2 addresses or something? Or what?
No, I have both of them here. They were both sent to me on February 22nd. One came to my house and one went to Keene. And the Keene one didn't even tell me what it was. I got a notice in my mailbox that said I had this certified letter, but it didn't tell me who it was from or anything. So when I went to the Swanzey post office, they said, no, it's sitting in Keene, and when I went there, it was on the town of Swansea, which I have.
Right. It was the same exact letter? Is what you're
Very
saying?
similar, yeah.
Well, if it was similar, then it was a different letter, I guess.
Yeah, it was, there's one that said, here's your fees that you owe, and here's when the meeting is, and the other one was, here's the public hearing is gonna be on this day.
Okay, well,
I can speak to that.
go ahead.
The fees one should not have been a certified letter. That should have been a regular
That
post.
was this, that was this one, right here.
I'm not sure why the post office made you pick it up like that, but it was not certified. That's just regular post and you're not charged for that. It's just
So
a,
did I have to pay for this one?
yes, by statute, we have to send the applicant, the property owner, and all the abutters a certified mailing. And we, the town of Swansea, don't have any control over who receives those.
Right. No, and I understand that. I just think it's silly that I pay for myself, you know? And it just seemed odd to me that that's what I did. So, you know, not that I'm nervous speaking anyway, because I'm an honest person, and I feel that I was honest to come to you and apply for this. However, you know, there's people on social media selling stuff in the town of Swansea under a social media business name, and they've never had to come here, file taxes or anything, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating because I'm doing the right thing.
No. Again, I hope we answered all your questions. Do you have any others?
No, that was it. I just, you know, wanted to
No?
make this.
Yep, thank you. Yep, we appreciate the input, and, you know, some things are beyond our control, like the certified letters, and the other thing, what is in our zoning rules, is that if you change location, you have to go through the process.
And I would like, just personally, I would like the process reviewed, simply because if I was an abutter to a commercial property space, every time somebody came in and out, because it's like a strip mall there, and I got a certified letter, I'd be frustrated getting all that. And I'm just speaking on behalf of people I don't even know. However, I just think that the process needs to be reviewed and looked at, because maybe there's a different way of doing it for existing businesses. I'm not offensive.
It's on the agenda tonight.
and-
One of those items that is on our agenda tonight is looking into that. A business that is primarily exactly the same as another one going out, looking into that. It doesn't require a public hearing. It does require a meeting still, but not a public hearing. We're looking into that.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. That you're looking into it. But that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome. Next item up on the agenda, this is under discussions and other business, SMC site plan modification, and this is for that, the units on Route 12 that we have approved a few years ago, I think it was. But anyway, there were some modifications there, or another set of modifications. And you are up.
Thank you. John Newman with Fieldstone Land Consultants, here on behalf of SMC Swanzey Limited Partnership. Also here with me tonight is Robert Simons, who is with the SMC Swanzey Limited Partnership. The site plan modification that we are here tonight to present is in the front of the building. There's a parking island here, and the applicant's looking to provide some outdoor patio space, amenities for people that have apartments here to have an outdoor space to hang out and, you know, enjoy the outdoors. So we've taken the plantings that were on the original plan, kept all the landscaping counts the same, and we just moved them to along the front here, and we moved the large trees to the northern boundary right here. And then for the landscape patio area, there's going to be a pergola. So we have a photo here similar to what will be constructed. So open roof space, it provides some shade, 4 posts mounted on sonotubes. And we had a diagram here, so there'll be curved seating walls, so these will be about 18 inches in height, and benches provided, and then 2 outdoor grills that will be propane fired, and an outdoor fire pit that is propane fired. So we also updated the utility plan, so to show a 500-gallon buried propane tank over on this landscape line. So it'll be fed underground, and a water feature on the southern end of the landscape area, and then aluminum fencing around it with a gate.
Water feature using.
It's a fountain.
Okay.
Yep. So we specified on here the fountain, the fencing, the outdoor grills, so the 2 outdoor grills, the fire pit, and the fire pit has a safety feature. So there's shut-off valves, but there's also a 20-minute timer. So if someone turns on the fire, walks away within 20 minutes, it turns off the gas. And these are used at other properties that SMC has already. So they're very familiar with it, and these shut-off valves work very well. So it's not left unattended. And then some, the benching is just aluminum benches. So we've kept the landscaping the same, and then hopefully it'll be approved for having these.
Parking the same?
Parking is all the same.
Aren't losing any spaces over there?
No point.
I can see a
No,
little bit.
the pavement edges are exactly the same as what was on the
That same
approved plan.
footprint of that little.
Yeah, we just took the main
I see.
parking lot and made that.
Yeah, not too much has changed there.
Yeah.
So, any questions from the board? So does it look like this is a modification that can be approved at a meeting, and they can come back for a public hearing? Looks to me like it's pretty simple, straightforward, and should be able to be done at this meeting, in my opinion.
I would think so too. It's not really changing anything that wasn't already there.
Yeah, there are small improvements there. So
Excuse me, what is the height of the fencing that's going to be going around?
6 foot.
It'll be a 6 foot?
Edge here.
That's a chain link, or?
No, it's an aluminum square ballast,
okay.
Black aluminum fence.
And you say it's gated?
Yeah, so they're getting gated on this inner side right here, so we just have to show a double gate.
Okay, that will be locked, basically? And how is the access?
I wouldn't think so.
No, it's not locked,
Just a latch.
just a latch.
Okay.
Any other questions? And if not, motion would be in order.
I'll make the motion that we approve his modifications.
Motion by Brandon Self to approve the modification. Is there a second?
No, second.
Seconded by Michael York. Is there any further discussion? And all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And you're on.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And we like the process.
As long as it's going your way, right? Okay, so we're skipping the preliminary conceptual consultation that's being moved to our 23rd meeting. And that brings us down to rules of procedure amendments. And everyone, I presume they got a copy of it and read it through. comments on the rules of procedure? I think it's pretty well covered there. We've come up with a pretty good bunch of modifications to it. In my opinion, I think we finished it. Anybody else?
I think so too.
I have one question. On a complete application, number 5 was a public hearing is required in acceptance completion application.
Page number 4.
Excuse me, that would have been.
Yeah, page number 4, right, yeah, number 5 on page number 4. Go ahead, I got you.
Thinking back to, project up by the airport, and our sequence of application, acceptance, or non-acceptance, is there a way that, once that's presented, that we, without violating too much, we can postpone the vote to give ourselves more time? I know in this one, we were kind of boxed in, because we were running out of time.
Oh, at the end of it there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
When that was first given to us after the zoning board approval, is there a way for us to, it's presented to us, but not to have voted on it?
Yeah, when to act on the application, whether to accept it or not, is what the first stage that we get it.
You know, whether we can somehow postpone our action to give us more time without.
I think we have 30 days.
Yeah, we have 30 days, but that's from the time we say, okay, the application is complete.
Or if we say the application is complete, that starts the process of the 65-day clock. But we have 30 days to act on the application once it's presented to us. So we don't have to, as long as it's within 30 days of acting one way or another, whether it's complete or not.
And then we would have another 30 days after that?
No, then it would start to the 65-day clock after that, unless it's 95 days.
Yeah, okay, but that clock, that we would have allowed ourselves an additional.
Once we accept the application is complete, then that starts the whole process there. But if we don't accept it as complete, if we table the matter to another meeting and it's within that 30 days, it kind of has to be within that 30 days, then, yeah, it could be delayed for another 2 weeks, probably, I guess. We have it at one meeting. And I don't know, do you know if it's when the application is presented to you at the land use board, or whether it's presented to us for the 30 days after?
I believe it's to me, but I'd have to look at it again.
Yeah.
Feel confident about it.
Is it?
Once it's given to the.
It's to the town.
Planning, right.
Planning department, so it's 30 days after that, so we may not have, depending on when Sarah, we may not have that extra time to postpone it to the next meeting if it blows the 30-day time limit, so I guess.
Could we do an extra meeting? Are we required to stick to the 2 meetings a month?
We could do an extra meeting, it's in our rules of procedure that we meet on specific days, but we can have special meetings and extra meetings if it's warranted. But I don't know if just trying to delay an application is warranted.
Yeah. Or I think what you're saying is just trying to, it was a very big gnarly application, so trying to have time to really, examine it and think about it.
But it says 65 days, it seems short in one regard, but, it's got to be fair to the applicant too in the other regard.
Sure. But putting an extra meeting in would not slow it down, but it would give the board more deliberation time.
And if a special meeting can be called by 3 members of the board for whatever purpose it is, and I suppose that could be done in a.
But that doesn't give us any more time, it just gives us another meeting within that time.
Certainly gives us more time to work on it, but no time as far as that clock goes.
But I'm just trying to figure if there's a way that we can extend that to give ourselves a little more time, especially when that really was kind of tough and we really didn't have a chance. Well, we had a chance, but it was rather.
It was a lot. That was a lot there. Yeah, there was a lot there.
But are you talking about like to gather more information, to have,
Just to research it more.
research it?
I could add to this, you guys do have the option to deny an application without prejudice. If you feel when 65 days are up and you can't get an extension, if you do not have enough information for an approval or a denial, you can deny without prejudice, and then the applicant can resubmit the exact same application the following month, the following week, the next day.
I would think if it still fall underneath those rules, that it had to be a pretty good reason, otherwise,
I think you're right.
you know, they,
I mean, there would have to be,
you have to name what we're missing.
Good, exactly.
And how long it's gonna take to get it.
Yeah.
I think, you know, have to be specific.
The outside appraisal would have been excellent.
Except for that's a question that's already answered by the Supreme Court, so we could revisit
Well,
it.
it was answered by the zoning board. The Supreme Court had said nothing about the appraisal.
No, yeah, right, it was the zoning board, but still, it was already answered, and we can't overrule the zoning on that. I don't believe.
No, can't, no, it was answered in the ZBA, so planning board can't go against those guys unless, you know, the planning board can still ask for things like that during the process there, even though the applicant might not have to pay for it, because, you know, a lot of it is within getting the applicant to pay for some of these studies and things that the planning board wants to do there. If the planning board, you know, we'll say the zoning board of adjustment goes through the whole process of the, you know, it not being a burden on taxpayers or the whole surrounding area fitting in and that type of stuff on the appraisals, the planning board still, in my opinion anyways, could ask for another appraisal and the planning board pay for it.
Yes, that's in the reg.
And then, you know, and then go from there. If it had the exact opposite outcome as the first one did, then there's something to discuss.
Okay, so
Even though the zoning board would have, you know, ruled on it, I would say, I might be wrong, but we'd have to have the attorney weigh in on that.
if what you're saying is we could have refused it without prejudice, and it would have perhaps given us time to get the outside opinion. I don't know, I'm going down a bit of a rabbit hole.
That whole if we did, yeah, deny it without prejudice, so that means they could bring the same exact application to us, because if we deny an application, then they cannot bring the same exact one in front of the board. It has to be fairly different from the original one. But if we denied it without prejudice, they could bring the same exact one up. But what we're saying before is that if we did that, we'd have to name specifically why we're doing that. And if it was for something like, you know, we're talking about the appraisal thing there, then the applicant still could go and appeal it and say, look, this is already decided at the ZBA, these guys can't do that to us, you know, and they probably have won that.
Yeah, they probably would have done that too.
Well, I would if I were them, yeah. It's all, it's in business, that's how they're playing by the same rules we're playing by.
Just wanted to throw the idea.
Yeah, good to have a discussion like that, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to bring up questions and discuss like that. Anybody else on the rules of procedure? And if not, a motion to accept them, I guess, is what we're called.
I'll make a
Accept
motion
the
that we
rules.
accept them.
No second.
As amended. Okay, a motion by Richard Lane to accept the rules of procedures as amended and seconded by Graham. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And good. We've finally gotten through that one. And we have,
So happy.
and it just so happens Sarah brought a copy that we can all sign here.
Just in case you should have done it tonight, with no further comment.
We don't have to, okay.
I mean, you might as well finish it if you started, but then it leaves more room for.
What's the
I'll
last
pass it
page
down
you
that
have
way,
in your,
and-
what's the last page you have in your pamphlet? So I printed out the revised copy. Oh, okay, so it's the same.
Well, that's being passed around and signed. We have on our, it's been on the site plan review regulations on our agenda there. We've had for quite a while. And I think we might be able to get around to going over those at some point. The workshop meeting probably be best for something like that, because we get into some lengthy discussions, I think, on those regulations. And if just, we can start discussing them tonight, or we can go back and read the site plan review regulations and take it section by section, how we want to do it. So we can decide whether we want to have a workshop meeting for that, and during that workshop meeting, we can decide if we want to look at, have just a workshop meeting on going over some of the plans, reading the plans and just what information that the engineers and stuff give us. I have a couple of sets of plans from Market Basket over there, which have been up there for a long time, so I don't have any problem with us going over the plans that we can use just for an example and just go over those plans and just be familiar with them, because the more familiar we are with the plans, the better off we'll be with the applicant, figuring out what they're talking about, asking them questions, things like that.
What are your thoughts on having a joint meeting with ZBA sometime also?
Yeah, we could. What's the purpose of the meeting?
Just to get together once a year and discuss things, and
Yeah, we could do that.
they might want to see how to read plans too.
Also to understand where each board is coming from and what the role is and how they interact with each other.
You could schedule that before town meeting or after town meeting, probably after town meeting, I guess.
Yeah, that's next
The
week.
election's this next week, so you have to be after that, so yeah, we could schedule one of those as well. I prefer to have some workshops and get some stuff going and done, and maybe meet with CBA after that. They might be interested in some of our changes to our rules of procedure. I don't know, they probably aren't familiar with them, but they might want to get familiar with them just to look it over. So what shall we do? What's the next meeting look like, Sarah, as far as schedule goes?
It looks like there should be a lot of time.
A lot of time on it?
There's
Okay.
one site plan review application. I mean, who knows? I
All
don't
right.
want to say,
Well, we can still
it's
schedule
not going to be
for,
quick, but it's not going to be totally up.
yeah, okay, well, let's schedule that for a workshop, and the workshop will be just generally going over site plan review regulations, deciding where we want to start, and what we want to do. Maybe if we can all read it before that, and if anybody wants, I'll bring those set of plans there, and we can start just looking over the plans, just getting the information in our heads straight, how to read them. So,
Do you want to look at any site plan review website? I mean, not site plan review, rules. God, what are we talking about?
site plan review,
Site plan
site plan
regulations.
regulations. I don't know, I don't know when the last time anybody read them, so I think it'd be a good idea if just everyone just read them for the next meeting, be familiar with them.
Would everyone just save the memo that was in this packet?
Which,
For the
that's,
multi-tenant process?
oh, yes,
Oh,
okay.
that's on there too, where did, I don't see
It's part of the site plan review regulations, because that's where that regulation
Oh,
lives.
let's discuss that
Okay.
now, yeah, let's do that. I'd forgotten that was in there, thanks for reminding me. There's our memo, that's on the last page of our agenda packet here. Yeah, so let's just find that. So we have it, everyone, I would imagine, read that, and you know what the wording is, current wording and the idea or the intent is to make it a little more streamlined for a new tenant application to come in and just go into a building where someone just before them was doing pretty much the same exact business there.
Like we had earlier.
Yeah, making it so they don't have to go through a public hearing, just a meeting with the planning board. And if the planning board decides in that meeting, well, there's a little more than that, so you'll have to have a public hearing, then so be it, and it'd be done that way. Otherwise, just make it so we can approve it at one meeting. Don't have to make them through, go for the certified letter that woman was talking about, or any of that type of stuff. So the wording here, the old wording, I'll just read it through. The old wording, new tenant applications. Businesses moving into a building that has previously received site plan approval for the same type of permitted use may be allowed without formal site plan review after public hearing before the planning board. The completed new tenant application and a butter list must be submitted to the land use office 3 weeks prior to the next regularly scheduled meeting, planning board meeting. Butters will be notified by certified mail. That's what we've had in there, and this is what Sarah's put together for us, that it would streamline that. So revised language would be new tenant applications. Businesses moving into a multi-use building that has received previous site plan approval and previous multi-tenant approval for the same type of permitted use may be allowed with planning board approval without further formal site plan review or public hearing before the planning board. the public hearing is deemed necessary in such a case, notice will be given pursuant to RSA 67641B. That covers it pretty much, I think.
So
Yep.
what would be the planning board approval process? Then how would it would show up? How would we do that?
It would be a new tenant application on our, on our agenda, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, just
It'd be a-
mechanically, how would
It'd be
we?
a new
we
tenant
do it?
application would be the agenda item,
Okay,
and it would just be on the agenda, a regular meeting, and of course, it would say who it was and what they were doing.
so we'd have something like what tonight's applicant gave us?
We'd still have, Sarah would be writing up,
Yeah,
something like this,
Yeah.
the staff would be making recommendations and
Okay,
talking about it. And we would have an application that they would have presented to us.
and they just wouldn't have to go through the process of
Just
certifying all
the
this.
certified and the public hearing and the notice
Yeah.
to the abutters and all that type of stuff. Would require that.
Sensible.
I think
So what kind of fee are we talking? I mean, would there be one? Or
There's a
since
separate
there's no,
multi-tenant fee, I think. Isn't there, Sarah?
The application fee is $25, so that would be the only fee.
there wouldn't be any
There wouldn't-
mailings,
Yeah,
so
there
it'd
wouldn't
be
be any
good.
mailings or legal ads,
Yep.
so it would be much more affordable for businesses to move to a new space.
Sounds good to me.
Me too. Okay, so we'll keep that and we'll incorporate it into our revised site plan review regulations. When we get running those through. Fair amount of work to do. I know I've got a bunch of penciled in stuff there, and I've been over some of Sarah, reorganized them. When we were talking about it probably a couple of months ago, we reorganized the way it is in there. And in fact, it's referred to that new organization in our rules and procedures, so we'll kind of have to do something pretty soon, so it matches. But we're getting on it. So let's do that. Let's read them over. Next meeting, we'll have a workshop meeting. That one, whatever it is, we'll have a workshop meeting and forward some of that stuff. And are you folks waiting for us?
I just, if I can speak.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yep.
Sarah Pratt, one of the property owners for the applicant, and I apologize for us being late to the company because at 6:30. I just wanted to weigh in and thank you for addressing the multi-tenant use
Well,
procedure.
this is multi-tenant.
Yes.
Is this the Route 10?
Yes, we own the plaza where
Oh,
she is.
that's the one we
moving to.
approved. Okay.
So I just wanted to thank you for addressing the whole procedure. The procedure that is currently in place puts a potential hardship not only on property owners, but also on the tenant that will be moving in, where we might have trouble charging a full month's rent. It also puts a hardship on the person, the tenant that's moving in. This woman, put in a fair amount of her own monies into remodeling and, making a really nice inviting store. And if by chance she were to come here for a public hearing, where she's already put that money in and not been approved, it would have been.
It doesn't mean she'll be approved even if there's no public
I
hearing.
understand that, I do, but where she is an established business in town already, and she's moving into a plaza where she is doing the same exact business where our tenants are currently doing retail sales. It's appreciative that you're addressing that. It makes it a little bit.
Because that 21 days for the notification, and then you add everything in there, she's paying for a month and a half.
Yeah.
You get nothing.
It'll make it much quicker for the tenant, yeah.
Right, that's what we want to do, is make it quick for the tenant, because she's been a nervous wreck for 3 weeks,
I'm not sure that called for a humorous observation.
Where'd that come from?
I'm not sure,
Somebody hack our system?
I'm not sure that calls for.
Like Steve,
Someone on Zoom?
Yeah, it's rich.
Are they speaking to the board? Are you speaking to the board? Somebody on Zoom? I don't think so. Doesn't sound like-
Okay.
Okay,
So it's just important, for the tenant, that we can tell them it's gonna be a 2-week process or 10 days, because
As opposed to.
yeah.
6 weeks.
So what we just discussed tonight, that's in our site plan review regulations. That's not a zoning issue, meaning it doesn't go through town meeting and voting for the town. it's approved at a regular meeting by the planning board. So when we finish running through our site plan review regs, which may be a month, maybe 3 months, whatever, then it will be approved. Doesn't mean that we approved it tonight.
Right.
Okay, so
No, I
it's the old
understand,
way.
I just wanted to
making sure.
appreciate the fact that you are addressing it and seeing that it is a concern both, for property owners and for business owners.
Okay. Yeah, appreciate it, and nice not to be yelled at.
Can I have your name for the record, please?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sarah Pratt, SARAPRATT.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And unless someone has something else, that may wrap it up.
Motion for adjournment.
Oh, Richard has something, you're quick.
Yeah, the deed restriction, condition that we put on the airport.
Yep.
My request is that we get a chance to review that either before or after, council, but be sure that what we intend is actually there.
Yep, and it should be after council, because council may change it, so.
That'll have to be actually written into the deed for the sale, because they can't, they rate the deed and then they close the sale.
Right, okay, so that was one of the conditions that we put on this whole thing.
Yeah, that'd be restricted, age restricted.
I'm concerned if the board wants to review it because it wasn't put on the list for a compliance hearing. And so if you review it and propose changes, I'm not sure the legal avenue for that.
Maybe the attorney has to do that.
Well, yeah, you put it as a condition that the attorney would review it.
Is that our
If he tells
attorney?
it's okay, it's what we intended, then.
So maybe we can get an opinion from the attorney as far as what it is.
We still
We
should
could
be
run
able
it
to
by
look
us.
over.
Yeah, can we have a joint meeting with him once they submit?
Have to be a special meeting. I don't see why we couldn't just,
Get a copy of it.
have Sarah send a copy of us, and we could send comments into Sarah, and she could relay them back to the attorney.
Yeah, deeds are all public, property. Like, I can go pull your deed if I want.
Yeah. Got it.
So I think that might be a way to do it right there, because, yeah, it has to be on there because it was conditioned, but the condition was that the attorney, they were going to write it and our attorney approve it.
The deed will be issued at the closing.
So, want to do that? Do you want to have Sarah send us a copy of it?
If that's the sequence we can do.
And then, we have a right to see it and know about it. We may not be able to make any changes to it. The attorney does, but.
No, the attorney would have to take it back to court
Yeah,
and
so-
have it changed.
So, but just in our own minds that it was exactly what we're talking about. Sounds good to me. Anybody else?
There's one other thing, it's just kind of a sore point with me. The use of trailers, i.e. like the two that Pappas has down here, for warehousing. The town doesn't get any revenue out of that, that I'm aware of.
Not unless they're registered, that's the
Right,
only thing I
well,
can
and they're
think of.
supposed to be registered in roadworthy.
I think that's what code enforcement said, Mike Jasmine said at one of our meetings, that they have to be roadworthy.
My thought process is there a way that down the road we can eliminate that from happening within the town?
It'd have to be through zoning, and voted on by the town, so, yeah, anything like that can be.
Because they become pretty good eyesores. You look down by, I think, Route 10 Auto, on that side, he's got a couple of trailers in there, they're old food liner trailers from Winterall, I believe, or something like that, but just try and clean up the town a little bit from that.
Well, I can speak to those things, because when I bought my property up there, because that guy was an old junkyard guy. And right across the street from me, he put two of those trailers. And Mike and I, and it's very easy for him to go down and get some plates for it. That's all I gotta do.
And if it's roadworthy and registered, then it's gonna be there.
And nobody ever checks the roadworthiness. I don't know who's
Well,
gonna
yeah,
do
I don't
that.
know how you would do that, right,
but if it's
But
got a
I
pipe,
know this one wasn't, because when he finally got it out of there, because the property across the street changed hands, this farm over there changed hands, what happened was they came up and they had to stop several times to unfreeze the brakes on the trailer.
which
They
is
were
par
just
for the
digging up the
course.
road.
Yeah, that's generally par for the course.
Yeah, they rushed right in there. Yeah. So it's a hard process, and Mike worked real hard to get those done. But I could just see if I ever decided I wanted to sell mine, and you come up to look at it and say, well, I want to buy your place, you guys spend all that.
I think
Well-
I'd rather see a trailer filled with a bunch of stuff than all
And a
that
bunch of
crap
stuff.
just sitting on somebody's lawn. myself.
I think so too.
No, that's
Any day.
my point being is that if it's a business and they're storing stuff in there, they should be required to either have a warehouse for it, or if it's being used somewhere, and rather than in a trailer. If it's in a trailer, then it should be
But how do you,
roadworthy.
I believe he
to go to
came,
a site.
wasn't that part of his,
and how do you know he
Process
doesn't
of
use
coming
those
here?
trailers? though?
Yes, he
Maybe
got-
backs
because he
it up and
painted
brings
it,
to a
and he
job
was supposed
site.
to screen it?
Those in 2 years that I've been.
Are you
lower
talking
half
about,
of it.
you're
He
talking
hasn't
about
since he
Papas's
brought him
over
down
there?
there.
Is that what he's talking about? Can't hear him. Are you referring to Papas's down there?
Yeah, that's
And he did paint them,
right.
right, but that's not the only one, that's happening everywhere, if you don't watch out.
Yeah.
And over on Route 10, what used to be the basket people, Williams Construction, went in there, and he's got an old U-Haul truck, or I don't know if it's still there, but it was there for a year anyway. An old U-Haul truck sat right in the same place, and you know he was storing stuff in that. And there's also a trailer over on that property that's painted gray that I'm sure is used for storage. People do that. But then Greg complained about it, my husband, he's good at that. And he said someone that he exhibited or showed Nick's restaurant property to, when they walked out the front door of Nick's, said, "What's that across the street?" And after that, where he appealed to Mike Jasmine, Williams or somebody put a fence, I think it was Ken, put a fence up there, but they left a peephole about that big between the building and the fence, so when you go by, you can still see the junk behind the fence.
You have to look harder though, right?
Well, who gives a damn if you're showing a property and they don't want to buy it because it's got a junk pile across the street? It kind
Yeah,
of
and those,
affects your,
and those junk piles are very, when I did court security work up there, I'd see a couple of those cases, especially one from Troy. If something on that property they can show has a value, you can't make them move it, according to the judge.
But
Well-
I think what we're talking about here is trailers functioning as buildings, really.
Mhm.
You know,
that's right.
they have wheels on them, but the wheels don't work.
So how's that any different than getting one of those pods dropped off? The only difference, in my opinion, is the dolly wheels underneath it, you know?
And
Somebody
now
can call up
people-
any one of those companies and get one of those pods dropped off
Well-
right on their front lawn.
Yeah.
Brandon,
You
when
know.
they have been left there for enough years that they are entwined in poison ivy and other creeping plants,
So doesn't that hide it better?
no.
No?
It looks like the very
Yeah.
devil itself. When you drive up Route 12 and you see that pile of junk over there that's been there long enough that trees are growing through it, that's a little sickening. You know, to know, when you have people coming to town and they say, "Oh, here's Swansea." Whoa,
Right.
okay.
Gateway to.
Yeah, right as people come in. And over on our road where I live, a guy was spoken to about his junk, and he put big green tarps in the trees around his house to hide the junk cars that he had in there, right next to a conservation property and the Yale Forest. And they're still there.
Well, it's, you know, private property too is.
And by state law, you're not supposed to
It's
have
private,
more than 2
and it's in
unregistered
New
vehicles in
Hampshire.
your door.
Yeah,
But
Calhoun shop.
One of them has to be used as parts for something you're restoring.
Right.
That's part of the
Yep.
thing also.
Either that or you're supposed to have a junkyard license. And from my understanding from Mike Jasmine, there's only one junkyard that's licensed in this town. That's Bufham's.
There's-
Market basket. Everybody else is not licensed.
What about zoning? In a residential agricultural zone, is it okay to have a automotive junkyard?
Yeah, you're growing rust.
No, it's
Agriculture.
not.
Farming.
Yeah, I don't think
Farming.
I'll give you the
restaurants.
answer, no, it isn't.
The state regulates the junkyard anyway, but, you know, as far as the trailers go, we get back to that. You know, somebody would legitimately have a trailer in their yard, perhaps, a box trailer, not storing stuff in it. How are you gonna?
You're allowed
say,
one
well,
unregistered.
You can do it, but you can't do it, because there's something inside of it that nobody can see.
Well, now they're using those containers.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Those
Those
are
pods.
Not the pods are different, those are for temporary. When I think of a pod, I think of temporary, where those moving companies
Yeah,
set your
Oh,
pod
yeah,
down,
okay.
you load it all
Yeah.
up and they take it away. These are containers, one of my neighbors has one of those
Yeah, one of
big
the shipping
containers.
containers.
Shipping containers
Yeah.
come
Oh.
off the boats.
That's
and
what I was
stuff.
meaning, was one of those. It's
Yeah,
kind
and
of
they're
the same.
using those now,
little
and I
bit
don't
bigger,
know
but-
that there's any zoning or
No.
state
That
regulations
meets the
against
new
them.
regs for the sheds, right?
That might be considered a structure.
But again, if it's over, was it 600 square, 1,000 square feet, it's supposed to have a building permit.
No,
But it wouldn't be, it's
So-
only 200 square feet.
everything needs a building permit.
You know, we
Well, not sheds.
I didn't give up my chicken shed. that's
Sheds
20
under
by
200,
20.
right?
uh-oh,
A 20 by 20 chicken
that would
shed.
be a fine for you.
Is it
No
registered?
soup for you.
I can't
So your chicken's registered to vote?
I go down to the DMV and get them. No, but they give good eggs like yours.
I understand what Richard's
Your
saying.
donkeys are
I
registered to vote,
agree.
right?
Yes, but
Wrong
they
party.
vote Republican, they don't vote Democrat. Or they won't have a home.
Okay, anything else?
Way off one.
Richard, you have anything else?
Just something that
Just think
perhaps we
about
can
it.
look at.
Yep, yeah, again, it's gonna be a tough balance there.
Yeah, because how would you word it? A mobile home trailer, that's still on a frame with wheels,
So
if
that-
there's
that-
something
that-
in
There
it.
is zoning for
Yeah,
those.
you do, you can.
Right, if somebody's living in it, then.
Well, there's one person here in town that has one of those little mobile huts. I'm not gonna throw them under the bus or anything. I drive by it periodically. It's
Like
just
a
sitting
nice
right.
fishing shack or?
No, it's a bigger one. It's a job site trailer, like the
Oh.
ones that they use for the contractors
Yeah.
and stuff. It's like that size, sitting right there.
There is
on the
zoning
side.
regulations on.
Johnson and Johnson one over here,
That's probably the one.
yeah, blue and white.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gosh, it has my name on it?
No, but I just.
We're gonna go spray paint Greg and Jane next to it.
I'm sorry, we don't have to.
What do you mean Johnson and Johnson?
Pardon?
What, it's a
just the
trailer?
name.
Making baby
It's
powder.
one that Harold used to have.
Oh, it's Johnson Electric?
Yes.
Oh, okay, not Johnson and Johnson, Johnson Electric.
No.
I wish it was Johnson and Johnson.
Oh, there are regulations and zoning on mobile homes, you know.
Yeah,
Somebody's living in one of Johnson Electric's old trailers, I'll go collect the rent.
Anything else? Anything different?
I think that's all pretty different.
Maybe a motion to adjourn would be in order?
I'll make that motion.
Are you making a motion? Okay. Motion by Brandon
You'd be second to make the motion?
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll remake the motion. How's that?
Who seconded the
Is there
motion?
who seconded the motion? You, Jane?
I will.
Jane seconds the motion. Is there any
You're
further
having
discussion?
trouble.
And all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?